Welcome back to the Tropical Update. It's Sunday, September 10th. I'm Tom. I'll be guiding you through graphics tonight. We're going to be talking about Hurricane Irma, which is a little bit weaker, but is expected to gain strength as it moves through the Florida Straits later. And also, we have some new watches and warnings and some new data on storm surge on the West Coast. So first up, let's look at these are the new watches and warnings, and most of Florida is under a hurricane warning. Up near Panama City is a tropical storm warning, which will probably be upgraded as it moves north, the storm, during the day. And also above Jacksonville is a tropical storm warning. Next up, we're going to be looking at our storm surge. This has changed. They've increased it over on the West Coast, especially north of Fort Myers, near the Tampa St. Pete area, and on up. On the East Coast, they've actually lowered some of it from Miami on up to Jacksonville. They got it in the 2 and 4 area, which they had a higher amount in the earlier forecast. But with this western track, we're not going to see as much storm surge on the East Coast. It's going to be mainly on the west. Here is our computer models, and they are pretty much what we've seen the last run, other than they may be trending just a little bit further west, especially up in the northern end of the tracks, where it looks like it's going to be in the Memphis area. So we'll have to keep a good eye on that. They've had a lot of rain from Harvey, and they'll probably get a lot of rain from Irma. Here is a picture of Irma. It's a little bit north of the island of Cuba, and it's moving northwest, and it's looking pretty good there. There's a lot of convection around the eye. That's the dark area, and the rain bands are pretty strong, and we'll be looking at some of that in a few minutes on radar. And as I said, it is starting to move to the northwest. Here's our 11 p.m. data on it. It was actually, we actually have some new stuff. At midnight, it was 80 miles from Key West, and the winds were 120 miles an hour. Pressure was 993 millibars, and it was moving northwest at 6. So actually the 11 and the 12 p.m. Advisory update is the same, other than it's closer, obviously, to Key West than it was. And by the way, Key West has, at midnight, had a 68 mile an hour gust. So just under hurricane force. And here's our 5-day cone, and it still moves it up the west coast of Florida, up through Naples, Fort Myers, on up, and then it goes into Georgia and on up, eventually Alabama, Tennessee. So that is something in the next few days we'll be talking about, especially as it gets north. It'll become much more of a rainmaker than a wind maker. So that's going to be something we're going to be looking at. The hurricane hunters are out there as of now. The purple you see on there are hurricane force and above winds, and they're getting close to Key West, obviously, with that 68 mile an hour gust at midnight. Next up is going to be the rainfall potential, and that has changed dramatically. It's shifted more over to the west coast, and Miami is no longer under a 20 inches of rain forecast, but there will be probably 12 inches of rain along most of the west coast of Florida, if not higher, south of Naples. And here is the tropical force winds probability when it's going to reach you. And if you're up near St. Pete or Tampa, up in that area, you'll probably be seeing them by early this morning, Sunday morning, or maybe by noontime. Irma has slowed a little bit, but they expected to speed back up. This is a lightning. This shows all the lightning that's out there. And there is a band that's moving into South Florida, rotating into South Florida. And it's a little hard to see, so I tried to mark it here. And there's that band, and it's going to be rotating from the east over to the west into South Florida. And that's a heavy band of showers, and they have a lot of lightning with them and possibly some tornadoes. This here shows those bands that are offshore and the ones that are just making shore up near West Palm Beach area. And like I said, these will all be moving toward the west, sort of the northwest, and coming on shore pretty much for the next probably 12 to 15 hours or more. And here is a picture of, this is a radar out of Key West, and you can see the eye. And Key West is to the northwest of the eye, as I said, about 80 miles. And this is from the power company, Florida Power and Light, in Dade County, which is a large county. They have over 106,000 power outages right now. Broward County was in the, I believe, 66,000 area, and it became less and less the further north you went up the coast. Well, thank you very much for tuning in tonight, and make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them. We always try to answer them. And till next time, stay safe, and we'll be watching everything.